today's video, we're going to use Python to send email notifications, and we're going to use that in a stock alerts program. So my wife asked me, "Oh, my beloved, wonderful husband, will you please make me a program that allows me to send stock alerts and get an email when those fall below those prices?" Of course, my love. Have that ready in a jiffy. So in the first video we dealt with setting up simple alerts. So we've done that first stage that my wife asked for, and we can see the colour here if the price is below our alert price and for which company. But now we want to add email functionality into this, so that rather than having to look at this interface, we just get an email when the price drops below a price we're interested in. Let's set that up. So we just hopped quickly over to a browser because we actually need to set up something in Gmail. But first, I just wanted to mention that all the code that we're going to do will actually be on my GitHub, and that's Erudite code, and it will be in the Finance Python repository because that's where I'm building this program. But what we're going to do today, basically you can just pull the bit to do with emails out and use in any app. Now let's hop over to Gmail. Now I've just set up this really basic Gmail account. It's just for handling these kind of application-based emails, and I even call it something like My Minion. So what you want to do is come up to here and go into your account, because what we're going to have to do is go into security and switch on two-step verification. And I actually think, yeah, it's here. So I've already switched it on, but yours will most likely be off. Well, it'll be off initially. Switch it on. You'll need to go through the prompt. And once you've switched that on, you want to go back into security and down here to app passwords. And when you're in app passwords, what you can do is basically, well, I've called one Python here, just so I know that it's Python using this code, but you can go into Select App, click Other Custom Name, which you can then name, and you can generate it, and you'll get a 16-character code. And just save that code in a notepad file or something, and we'll use that in a bit. So now we've got our email set up that we're going to use to automate these emails. Let's go into this program and see how we can add this functionality in. Now we're not going to do anything in the main file, and you don't even have to worry about how that works because it's not important for this video. But what we're going to want to do is go into our class stock alert, and we're going to import some useful things that we're going to basically use to control this email functionality. And they're all things that come with Python. You don't have to install them. So we're going to include a library called smtplib and an SSL library. And we're also going to want something called email message. And that's going to just allow us to format our emails really easily. And it gives you a huge amount of flexibility when you're building these emails. So we've got these imports. And basically I just want to think, and this is something to do with my application here rather than the email bit itself, but I don't want to be spamming my inbox when I have a certain status. So just down here I want to set up something that basically says if the status is true, so my alert is going, oh, we've been triggered, and self.active is true, which is going to be a new thing we're going to create up here, then we send an email. So I'll just put nice and easy, something like sending email, just as a print statement. But then the crucial bit is we set self.active equal to false. And that just stops us, once we're in the state of this alert where we want to get an email telling us the alert's triggered, it stops it sending it every time it updates. So now what we need to do is think about how we can create that function to send an email. So we'll create a function called email handler, and in fact we'll call it in here as well. And this is going to want to have a whole bunch of details from us. It's not a big function, but it takes a bit of information. So it's going to want a source email, that's where the email is coming from. We're just going to leave that empty for now. And a source password, and we're going to leave that empty for now. We're also going to want a recipient, and that will be an email address for the person who's going to receive this email. And we're going to want to create a message, and we're going to use the email message class for this. And we're going to come back to populate this in a moment. But when we want to send our email, we'll need to set up something called a context, the authentication and the certification with SSL, so that we can use this encrypted and secure email service. So we'll use the SSL library and we'll create something called a default context. It's sort of the simplest way we can handle this, but what it does is it's going to go to the server that we're going to use for our email, and in this case it'll be Gmail, and it will take the certificates from there, so we don't have to input anything. So what we're going to want to do now is create a connection. We're going to use the with structure so that we don't have to worry about closing this, because as soon as we exit the with structure, it's going to automatically close and shut down everything for us. So we're going to create this connection with a Gmail server, and we're going to use port 465, which is usual for the SSL communication, and we're going to create a context, and our context will just be equal to the context we set up beforehand. And we're going to have that as our server. I know that was a bit of a long line. There we go, that makes it a little bit easier to see. Once we've opened this connection, we're going to want to log in. So we're just going to use a login function, and that will take a source email, or the email that we want to log into, and of course the source password, which will be that 16-character passcode you got. And then once we're logged in, we're going to want to send a message. You can also use something called send mail, but it's quite limited. And we're just going to send our message that we're going to write up here.
Oh my love, I hope I'm not interrupting, but I brought you a delicious cup of tea. Oh, this is looking fantastic. If I was on this YouTube thing, I would subscribe.
Okay, so now we're back to writing this up. Let's see how we can construct this message. So, the first thing we're going to want to do is set a subject. So we can do message, subject. And I'm going to want to create this as an F string, because I actually want to see in the subject the ticker symbol that the alert is related to. So we're just pulling that symbol out of our stock alert class, which is just the ticker symbol. And we'll say stock alert. And then we have the message, and we'll have the from part of the message, which just tells you who it's from. And of course, that'll be the source email. And we also have the to, and that will be the recipient. Then we want the content. So we'll use set content. Look at me creating content even within my content. We'll have alert price reached for, and we'll just put the name of this alert, so that will be the company name typically that we're looking at. And we'll put a full stop after that. Now we can get up to these bits here, which is the sort of authentication information. And this would effectively be my email at gmail.com. And because I'm testing this, I'm just going to send it to my own email. So the recipient and the sender are the same, and the password, well, it's that 16-digit thing. I'll just put password twice, so we've got 16 characters. These are obviously not the authentication details that I will use when we test it, but when we hop over to look into the inbox, I'll have run it with the correct authentication details. Let's see how this performs. So that's fully set up. Let's run it in the terminal and we'll see what happens. So we've got our visualization here, and hopefully Alphabet Limited up here with the alert price of, I think it's $100 per share, should trigger, because I think it's just below that, about 98. And when this goes green, we should see in the terminal sending an email. There you go. So we sent an email. You can see that in the terminal, and within the stock alert tester, this has gone green, so we know that this is triggered. So let's just stop this program and check our email to see if one came in. And here we go, an email from me, because I used the same email to send as I did for the recipient. But you can see straight away there's a Google stock alert here, just with an expansion of the subject material a bit. It says alert price reached for Alphabet Limited. And so we can see that email successfully sent, and so this program is working to enable you to send an email.
So, Mrs. Erudite, what do you think of the program that was prepared for you?
Oh, it's fantastic. I could never have asked for more. I just wish there was some way that I could show my appreciation. Some button that I could press if I really liked it.
Is that okay? Do you think that's good?